wife, Janet, accept clients that no one else wants, frankly. The hardest to place individuals, all we have to do is call Doug, and he said, you know what? Yes, I will. I will go to the state hospital and interview this client that no one else wants in their facilities, and so on. And so Doug has a forensic placement program as well as civil. It's just amazing to see the individuals that their lives are transformed. People that have given up on these individuals, that they'll never make it. They'll be right back to the state hospital, or they'll be in and out of the CSUs again, and so on and so forth. They come, they stay at Day Spring Village, and so without further ado, Doug, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. Listen, you know, I tell you what, I've done this for about 30 years. I've taken care of over about 4,000 people. And I can tell you, Dr. Caulfield is a force of energy, without question, that has been transformative. Would you not agree? Yes. There is no question, in terms of bringing innovation and change to Florida's behavioral health system, I think there's been no question about the impact she's had on behavioral health. And I just am grateful for her leadership, and I'm grateful for what she's accomplished. But I'm here today to talk about Sunrise. You know, some years ago, when my kids were young, I would get them in the car, take them to school, and I would say to them, what day is it today? And they'd say, it's a brand new day. Today's a brand new day, and that's exactly right, because today you get a chance to write a whole new script. You get a chance to write what this day's about. So we're going to talk a little bit about what Sunrise is about. So maybe I can get this to work. Do I point it here? Or here? We get our the blank one. Okay. All right. So transitioning back to the community is key. And so for a lot of these folks, so Sunrise was really an opportunity to transition people back to the community, and this deals with the civil population. So we thought that Sunrise was the new day that a lot of these people really, really needed, and we at Day Spring Village wanted to give these individuals that chance to have success, because really here in America, it is the opportunity to have success. And so success is measured, as we have heard throughout the presentations over the last 2 days, is measured individually by all types of different criteria. And so we felt very strongly that, you know, obviously success creates change, and change creates stressors, and stressors are real. So it starts off with relationships. There's new relationships as you transition from the state hospital out to the community. There's no question about that. There are new routines. One of the things that we try to do is we'll try to replicate some of those routines to ease the stressors, because as those stressors increase, you're going to start to see changes in their psychiatric symptoms. Again, these are complex individuals. These are individuals that have been difficult to place because their symptoms are fairly sensitive to change. There's no question. They're going to decompensate clinically very rapidly, and that's one of the reasons they become difficult to handle, is because there's a rapid escalation in their symptoms. Their living arrangements have changed. Their healthcare providers are now different. Concerns about money's number one. Everybody understands that. When you're dealing with somebody who's chronically mentally ill and they haven't had access to money, guess what becomes most dominant in their thinking process? When do I get access to money? Well, one of the things that we do, the minute they hit the door, we're going to credit their account with the $54. That's something we do immediately, because we want them to have as much normalization with the routine as possible, so they can go on the excursions, they can participate in what's happening. So managing conflict, that becomes big. That becomes a big issue. How do you manage conflict? There's different kinds of conflict. Conflict between you and the other person, conflict between you and the institution, and the incidental conflict of that person just bumped into me in the meal line, or that person just bumped into me as I was walking down the street. Was it intentional conflict? What do I do with that conflict? So processing conflict and how you're managing conflict becomes key. So you have to manage these type of stressors and these type of symptoms as you're going through. So let's talk about the innovation. This was kind of a cool little picture. This is right up there in University of South Carolina, right across from the state capitol, this big old vault here. And I thought, that's kind of a cool picture. So care coordination is intensive. So the Sunrise program is centered around 2 care coordinators. And we went to this conference that I'll tell you about in a few minutes. And of course, the one way that you could tell where to go to and who to go to was everybody had a different colored t-shirt on. So I said, well, that's pretty easy way to figure out who does what. So we put our Sunrise care coordinators in orange shirts. So they have orange shirts, so as soon as you hit the door, who do I go talk to about the problem that I have? You go talk to the ladies up front who are wearing the orange shirts. They're the Sunrise coordinators. They're there to help you, and they have staggered hours throughout the day. So access to on-site care, we have psychiatry that comes on-site. Our doctor comes on-site to provide on-site care. You have access to home health care. You have access to a whole range of different services. Resident engagement is number 1. You have to engage this person. You can't wait for them to come find you. You've got to go find them. And so the care coordinators are coming to find them every single day. We have an interview process. You are going to go through an interview process. We have a 27-point questionnaire that we're going to come find you. We're going to sit down and talk to you, and we're going to do scaling. When you ask somebody a complicated question, a lot of times giving a kind of an articulate answer might be a little bit difficult. But if I ask Don Cherry on a scale of 1 to 10, scale for me lunch, 1 being the worst lunch, 10 being the best, I guarantee you he could give me a number in 30 seconds. It wouldn't take him any time. So the reality is that scaling works. Scaling works with people who have complex symptoms. And more importantly, as you scale over time, one of the things that you're going to start picking up on is consistency or inconsistency in terms of how they're rating symptoms, how they're rating satisfaction, how they're rating responsiveness. So the on-site groups, they have a PSR group on-site. We have 2 PSR groups that are off-site, provided by 2 different behavioral health providers. We have Starting Point Behavioral Health. We also have Northwest Behavioral Health Services providing services on-site. We also have a weekly care coordination meeting with our partners. This is something where we go through all of our Sunrise clients. Now, this program was set up just to run with 10 residents. Is at 13 right now. We had to make some exceptions. We get some phone calls, there's some emergencies, this is a situation, needs attention right away. It's hard to tell the change agent over here knows, so we want to make sure that we're being responsive. Again, this is a mission-driven business. Those of you who are here today, I think, this is a mission-driven business. We're here because we care, we're here because this is part of the mission. And so, that's what you're driven by. So there's a discharge planning process that I'm going to talk a little bit about as well. So let's get into some specifics. What you see in front of you is, this is a lab. It's not just any lab. That is a WX100 by Sysmex sitting on that table. This is the first CLIA-waived CBC hematology analyzer. That means you can run a CBC test, you can have a med tech with a phlebotomy certificate, walk in there, do a blood draw, you can have a CBC white blood cell count test run in 3 minutes on site. So if you were having a patient on clozapine, what we know about clozapine is probably one of the most effective medications at controlling symptoms of schizophrenia. This is a big deal. So we have 2 designated care coordinators that meet with them, the residents only, and of course there's daily documentation notes. These notes are intensive. They are following up on things. They are chasing down families And I'll tell you, there's a little story that's going to come out tomorrow. You'll see Dr. Caulfield, if you're up in Jacksonville on the news, a little story about family reunification. I'm not going to spoil it, but you'll catch it on the news, on Action News, I think it's going to be. But nonetheless, this is a CLIA-waived CBC Sysmex X100. So there is lots of new medical technology coming onto the market, but this is a huge innovation. It allows us to do the WBC right there at the facility. And I think this is a major innovation that moves us in the right direction. So, resident engagement. This is Hup Hopman. He's a singer, songwriter, performer from Fernandina Beach, one of the most sought after performers in our neck of the woods. If you never had a chance to hear Hup sing, he's an ex-Navy fellow. But he comes over and he performs for them, performs all kinds of music and music and entertainment. But again, resident engagement has to be centered around things that have nothing to do with behavioral health. So normalization really has an ability to connect people to things that they find engaging in terms of getting people to show up. So we will have, actually a resident engagement coordinator. We have a money management program. And again, the money management program is Tuesday through Saturday. They have excursions that they sign up for. They sign up for the excursions. The money's all prepared for them. They sign up for those dollars. They go on these excursions. Excursions are going all over the place. I think they went to the zoo yesterday. They go all over the place, to the beach, the bowling alley, all kinds of different places. But again, that allows them to get into a structure, into a routine of being mobile and outside the facility. And again, these type of engagement on-site the property, I said, look, it's not enough just to go on excursions outside the property. You've got to bring engagement on-site. And of course, the most hated thing in any kind of facility is the activity coordinator. Everybody just resents being told what to do, what time to do it, and when to be there. But what they do want to do is come see the performance. And so when you bring in good entertainment, when you bring in good performers, I can tell you, they remember Mr. Hupman. When Hup comes, he packs the house. And so what I'm telling you, what we found what works in getting engagement, getting people showing up, line dancing, people being taught how to dance, people being taught how to do things that they didn't know how to do, that they had fallen out of how to do. People giving dance instruction and other kinds of things like that. Those are the types of engagement opportunities that we try to bring to the table. So events on campus, we'll take them up to the river, we'll let them do cookouts, they'll have cookouts. There's also some substance abuse classes we'll do. What we learned was, they've been to so many education classes that they're just wore out on them. But what we found works is we'll do an 18-minute education piece, hard-hitting, relevant. Look, marijuana may be legal, but it's not good for you. 18 minutes of that. Then we'll let them talk for 10 minutes, and then we hit them with the donut. And we're done. And then they get their attendance points, and you know what? They pack out the conference room with 9 people every single time. Every single time. It's like clockwork. And so the reality is that they show up because they want to, because they're being listened to, because they have engagement. And again, we on the clinical providers are actually getting real information about their views on substance abuse. They're actually getting valuable information about how they really feel, not about what they're supposed to be saying. Okay, how do they really feel about this stuff? Because that's what really matters. How do you really feel about it in terms of what they're really saying? So this is a few pictures. This is our med counter. We have a stationary med counter. That's a picture of the dining room. This is our front office area. These are some of the residential living quarters that you see here. So in Florida, we have 55,000 people with schizophrenia. That's a big number when you think about it. And so that's according to Social Security. And so when you think about controlling symptoms of schizophrenia, what we know, according to USF and ACA, clozapine is clearly the #1 medication for controlling symptoms of schizophrenia. But what we also know is only 9% of patients are being prescribed that medication. And one of the reasons why is because the difficulty of managing that white blood cell count test. So at my facility, I have a large facility. I have 120 residents there. 55 of them are taking clozapine. And why do they take clozapine? Because it works. And when something works, that's what you go with. You go with what works. You go with what controls symptoms, improves recovery, helps control symptoms because they can participate in resident engagement. They can participate in things outside the facility. They can become more engaged in life. They become more suitable for discharge planning. They become more suitable for independent living. They become more suitable for other things in terms of moving on with their life. So, here's a person you might recognize.
Oh.
So this is Representative Stevenson, and in her famous tiny house person. So how Sunrise residents supported family engagement. So that's one of the things that we work at, connecting to the family. And you're going to hear more about that story probably tomorrow as I told you. Legislative advocacy is really important. So being engaged with your legislators, and thank you, Representative Stevenson, for being here, Representative Federhoff for being here. It's so meaningful to have you folks, being here and being present and paying attention. So rapid response protocols, what we know about the difficult to place population, particularly the Sunrise population, is when they have a need, you need to respond immediately. And this is why care coordination dollars are so important. This is why care coordinators are so important. It is not, it is not suitable to wait or delay the speed with which you respond. The quicker you respond, the faster you're going to get a more positive outcome. So that's something that we've learned. Point-click care is something I'm going to talk about in a little bit, because that's something that has really changed the game for us. We use a HIPAA secure messaging platform, and also weekly collaborative meetings. We've also got something else that we're using. It's called www.sunrisecare.org. This is a web platform that allows us to link with other housing providers around the state. So one of the things that we'll get into and we'll start talking about is when we're ready to discharge somebody, we'll start talking about, well, where are they going? How safe is that location? What sort of crime rates in that area? Because what are the things that are contributing to recidivism? What are the things that are happening that are resulting in crisis-driven care? And so what we'll start looking at is credentialing our partners and the people that are sort of in our network, because where we're sending people to sort of matters. It sort of matters what supportive housing program, what other ALF, what other housing facility we're sending them to, because at the end of the day, what we want them to do is when they leave us and we've done all this clinical work, we want to kind of make sure that all continues and that person continues in a stable, because stable housing paired with stable services, you drop the bottom out of need for crisis-driven care. It just goes away. And I think that's been shown over and over and over again. So let's talk about a little bit of the sauce here. I told Representative Stevenson I'd share with you what a little bit of the sauce was that makes it work for us. So Point Click Care is a company, it's a technology company, but they're really a healthcare company. They're in about 16,000 facilities throughout the United States. This is the first place in Florida they've configured their system to work with behavioral health. And let me tell you what they've done. It took us about maybe a year and a half to 18 months to really get their engineers, and most of their engineers are Apple engineers. They have a whole team of people, so they're big on security. They're very tight on security. So this system we implemented in 2017, but this technology has revolutionized our entire operating platform. It allows us to do the notes, our medication management system, but the big thing is we opened up our secure messaging system to our partners for free. No charge, they don't pay a dime. So they get to see what's happening in the notes, they get to communicate with us at no charge, and it's all on a HIPAA secured platform. And so they get to, in real time, on their iPhones, get to communicate with us. So what used to take days, weeks, and months to solve a problem, now takes minutes and hours. In terms of medication issues, problems, issues. So the second in the minutes it takes when problems come up, It's just a matter of how quickly you can respond to it. So you have the doctors, the pharmacies, the case managers, the residential staff, everybody connected through PCC, point-click care. Everybody's on the same platform. Everybody's monitoring the same messages. Everybody's on the same communication thread. Everybody can see what's happening in real time. So this is real-time problem solving, real-time management, real-time response. And so this is happening 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So imagine this, that you don't have to wait for the next care coordination meeting. You don't have to wait for next week's meeting. You don't have to wait till somebody decides to answer the phone or leave a message. In today's world, everybody wants to get on text messaging. This fits right in with everybody's culture. You just check your secure messages, and so primary care, psychiatric care, everybody, and this is a requirement that I have. Look, I'm a big collaborator. If you're not going to collaborate, you really don't need to be working with me. I'm probably your worst nightmare, okay? Because at the end of the day, I'm not going to tolerate the non-collaborators. In fact, I think probably you should not be working in my system. But at the end of the day, if you're going to collaborate and have a sense of urgency about what we're doing, then I'm probably your best friend. Because I want to make sure we solve the problems, because that's what we're here to do. We're here to solve the problems, and we all need to have a sense of urgency about that problem solving. So, secure conversations, this is a big deal. And I think this is driven by Tiger Text. And so when we think about HIPAA secure communication, secure conversation through point-click care is a very, very big deal, I think, for everybody. And it gives us an opportunity to make sure that communication is happening seamlessly. And of course, what's interesting about this is almost like Snapchat for healthcare providers. It does not append to the record unless you make it append to the record. So you can convert your conversations to a permanent progress note into the record if you choose, or they go away in 15 days. So you have the option. So they'll just disappear, or you can append it to the record. If you choose to say, hey, that's a good progress note, and I'm going to make sure we memorialize that onto the progress record so that the next person coming down the line can see what we were doing, or that's going to go away in 15 days. And so this gives you fantastic flexibility, and you can configure this with as many players as you want. But again, my partners pay $0 for this to happen. They have the benefits, and they carry none of the burdens. They simply sign on, use their password, and we make sure this all happens for them. But again, that's our commitment to making sure real coordination is happening as fast as possible, because the degree, look, this is America. This is the United States. And the extent to which we can speed things up and increase the speed with which we solve problems, that's how we got to the moon. That's how we solve problems. That's how we use technology to increase the pace at which we can get there. And that's how we actually solve problems with the most complex people, and that's how we deal with complexity. Complexity requires you to respond quicker, and this is how we respond quicker. So, medication management, again, this is innovation at work. So let me tell you about the medication module. They have their own algorithm. So when medications have an adverse interaction, if you have two medications that interact with each other in an adverse manner, and let's say there's a drug-to-drug interaction. Let's say your doctor missed that drug-to-drug interaction. Let's say for a minute the pharmacist missed the drug-to-drug interaction. Guess what? This system catches the drug-to-drug interaction, and it will flag it, the severity. It will talk to you about what the plasma concentrations levels are, whether it drives it up, whether it drives it down. And you know what? What happens with this system, it does not allow your med-tech's practice to fall out of sync. If pain drugs are prescribed, it will prompt your med-techs to go back and check, was the pain drug effective in 5 minutes? So you have to go back and check. So it helps build good practice. It helps build good clinical practice. Even if you want to take shortcuts, this system will not let you take shortcuts. And if you do, it will tell on you. So it will alert me you're trying to take shortcuts. And so the reality is this is very intuitive. So there's a lot of artificial intelligence operating behind the scenes with point-click care. These guys are very big on AI. AI is all over top of these guys. But the reality is when you start looking at their medication algorithm, they have all the black box warnings from FDA, all the drug-to-drug interactions, and when you click on that, it'll explain it and teach you what these are. So because of all this, I have become a majorly interested in plasma levels. So what's really important is not the dosing levels of clozapine. So we all know 600 and 900 milligrams of clozapine is what's important. What's really important is the norclozapine level, and that should be between 280 and 320. That's what you should be looking at. So if the serum level or the plasma concentration levels are at the right level, then we know we've got good control of symptoms. But if those plasma levels are out of whack, then we know we got a problem. If they're at 150, 180, they're below 200, then we know we're going to have psychosis. And we've got to get the plasma levels to the right level, and that goes for all these medications. If we start looking clinically and have our clinicians look at the plasma levels, then we know we're going to get better control. And then when we start looking at what accelerates the plasma levels and what reduces the plasma levels, that starts explaining a lot about why symptoms are poking through and we're continuing to have behavior problems. Trust me, the science is all there. You just have to pay attention to what the science is telling you. So funding, and let me talk to you a little bit about this. And I promised the representative I'm going to share with you a little bit of the sauce. Not everybody wants to share the sauce. It's like cooking. It's all about the balance. So cost effectiveness, I think, is really important. So let me talk to you a little bit about this. The base funding is LSF funding. This is a monthly amount, it's a flat amount. So Social Security benefits, when they're restored, help meet the program goals. So we're gonna restore, we have a benefit restoration program, and that's a little bit tricky because Social Security is not always very easy to work with. Right now, they've got some problems with the payee rep side of their program right now. Even Social Security reps will kind of explain that to you. The optional state supplementation program will provide about a $54 a month personal needs allowance. The Medicaid Assisted Care Services program will provide about $12.25 a day if they're Medicaid eligible. And then, of course, if they are VA eligible, aid in attendance is possible, but that might take you 4 to 6 months to qualify them for aid in attendance if they were a vet and if they served during certain windows of time during a time of war. Okay, so the National Association of Veterans and Families have the best rate for getting applications approved, about a 90% win rate on applications. Most people, if they try to apply for aid and attendance, usually will fail. You need to know that. So the Florida Department of Veteran Affairs recommends the National Association of Veterans and Family for a reason, and that's because they know how to do this and they do it very well. So sliding fee scale is very important. $18,375 is the cap. You have to monitor. You have to monitor that level. So funding challenges, income erosion, recoupment actions are often taken because people don't shut those benefits off. Medicare Part D, often plans will demand a $100 premium payment because they didn't shut off. Nobody called the Part D plan to say, hey, you know, Jimmy's in the state hospital, and the Medicare Part D plan insists, well, you know, we continue to keep the plan open, so now that they're out, somebody has to pay that $100 to get the Part D plan operational again. That's got to come from somewhere. Notice of case actions, be prepared to request an extension of time, because a lot of times DCF is very quick to close those notice of case actions. You have to request, you have to monitor it, and then you have to request an extension of time to keep that notice of case action from closing. DCF will close it within 90 days. Also, you have to request a statement of income verification letter. This is very different from the statement that you receive at the end of the year. This is a letter that will explain, this is a letter that will qualify you for all benefits. And so the reality is this letter will explain what you're eligible for and what you're not. But this is a very specific letter that you need to request day one when you're dealing with somebody's benefits. This will open the door. This is a very, very important letter that your benefits people should always ask for. So the Sunrise program is a bridge to community transition. This is, again, at the front yard of our place. So the Sunrise team, upon notification that a person is waiting for discharge, will within 10 days head out and do the assessment. That's part of what we'll do. The Sunrise team, within 30 days of the evaluation, will provide the hospital with we're either going to accept or deny the person. And then the Sunrise program will help transition that person between 6 and 9 months. So between 6 and 9 months, we'll transition them from our program to another placement in the community. So helping people find success starts with ensuring they have stable housing paired with stable services. That's just a really central part of what we do, because that has been effective in accessing the on-site care coordinators and linkage to appropriate clinical services and timely restoration of benefits. So let's take a closer look at the data. So we have signed releases for these guys, and these are some of our people that have been in the program. So there's been 25 residents. We started this in January of 2018. It's a relatively new program. So there's been 25 in the program. There's 12 residents successfully transitioned out to the community. 0 have been discharged back to the state hospital. So cost of care. So let's talk a little bit about that. So the state hospital cost of care, according to DCF, it's $407 for a certified bed at the state hospital. The Sunrise daily rate is $55.56 a day. That's the daily rate. So it is about $3.7 million for the 25 residents if they spent 1 year at the state hospital. And so 55 a day times 9 months would be $14,850. Now, the Sunrise program collects the Social Security amounts, the Medicaid to assist with the cost of care, and the Sunrise program helps improve access to state hospital beds because we're creating that motion, we're helping those beds move. Now, the Sunrise residents exercise choice, so 1 went to supportive housing, nursing home, 3 went to family members, 7 went to assisted living. The average length of stay in the state hospital prior to Sunrise was 26 months. So let's talk a little bit about the data. Benefit restoration was 3 to 5 months. Average time to restore Medicaid was 3 to 5 months. But here's the health issues. Here's what's kind of interesting. Diabetes, we had 5 cases, COPD 2, tachycardia 3, GERD 7, hypertension 7. A lot of stuff going on with the heart. Hospitalizations, you had 2 went for the ER evals that were not admitted. You had about 5 inpatient for psychiatric admissions. 2 were professional certificates, 3 were Baker Acts. So of the 12 discharged, the length of stay was about 8.5 months, total length of stay. And so the Sunrise Care website, this is a secure website that allows us to start credentialing programs that we're going to work with. These are providers that have expressed an interest. These are good actors. So, when you're discharging people to programs or facility sites, you're looking for the good actors, people who have shown a consistent pattern that they're going to act in the best interest of these individuals. And that's really what sunrisecare.org is about. This is a secure website that will allow us then to start to track these providers, and again, we can update their bed count. We will know where the open beds are all around the state, where they're located at. So the discharge planning is a team effort. They meet every week. There's careful attention. They're checking the sex offender registry database, they're checking the crime reports, they're checking a whole range of data, looking at the safety of that location for these individuals. And let's see here.
I really feel like my life is moving forward.
Well, it's been great to have you here, Joey.
Thanks, Deb.
That's Joey. He's leaving here soon, and this is.
I'm 40 years in and out of the hospital.
Yeah.
40 years and a year for love. Yes.
Long time.
And for these people here.
Yeah. And that's Angel. Angel's made significant progress a bit since he started the clozapine. And this is
They helped me get my Medicaid straightened out, my insurance. They helped me get my Medicare straightened out. They're gonna help me get back on my payment coming in from Social Security. They've been working very hard and very decently, and I respect them all.
That's Michelle.
They come with maybe
This is,
2 weeks of medication with them, and so we have to work very hard to keep that continuity of medication so they don't decomp at any time, and we're not sending them out to an ER or to MHRC, which is the local mental health facility hospital here in Jacksonville. So we're working very, very hard to keep that continuity going by the team meetings that we're having with Starting Point, bringing in and talking to the pharmacists and talking to the doctors from the hospital and making sure that everybody is getting their prescriptions, everybody's getting their medication on time, because if we can keep that continuity going, then we have less behavioral problems.
We always take into consideration preferences of the residents and what they like and where they'd like to go. And then we go onto the ACA site, make sure that it's a licensed facility that we would treat them to, and that it would be suitable environmentally, demographically, and every which way for our residents to be placed in.
So one of the things that they do, and I want you to kind of hear them and hear a little bit from the staff, because one of the things that they do is they spend quite a bit of time focusing on these folks and the people, the faces you see in front of you. And some of these cases are very difficult. They're very complicated. And the resources, and when they're discharged to us, you get about 2 weeks of medication. So resourcing things requires a lot of innovation, a lot of creativity. And so it requires a real sense of urgency about problem solving. So there is a great deal of time, energy, and attention, and there is no time to delay. And when it comes to getting somebody transitioned, getting their feet on the ground, and you're paying very close attention to what's happening with their benefits and how fast you're driving the train there versus how quickly you're accessing the benefits, pharmacy assistance programs, all throughout. And then you have medical problems that are also coming up at the same time. You have all the things that you didn't know about that are all of a sudden coming to the surface. So Sunrise has been a very challenging project for us, but it has been a project well worth the effort, because Sunrise has allowed us to help people that were difficult to place find the opportunity to find their place here in the community, where they can start to contribute back to their communities and find an opportunity to head back to their homes and back into the place where they belong. And I think listen, everybody wants to be successful. Every one of them. Every one of them wants to have a chance to be a part of this economy. Every one of them wants a chance to vote in the election. Everybody wants to go shopping. Everybody wants to have their own measure of success. And so for me personally, it's been a great opportunity to watch people grow, to watch them watch them become optimal on their medications, and see them realize their dreams and see them reunite with their families. And so to me, it's been a real blessing in many ways. And so we're just grateful for the opportunity that LSF has provided us. And thank you, Dr. Caulfield. And with that, I'll take any questions that you have that you might want to know. Any questions? No questions. Thank you, Dr. Caulfield. And again, thank you all for your time and your patience. And I think I'm the last one today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doug. Incredible work. Well, we are at the close of our